Readers, last time we met, we talked about pausing as we read important passages and thinking to ourselves, why is this part important? And also, how does it connect to other parts of the book? Today, we're going to continue to pause and think deeply as we read, paying close attention to big ideas and how those big ideas often connect to small details, objects, or symbols that repeat in the story. So let's think back to Tiger Rising first before we jump into Number the Stars. Last time we talked about one of the big ideas in the Tiger Rising is that it's important to open up, let our feelings out in order to truly heal. Can you think to yourself, what are some small details in Tiger Rising, some small objects or symbols that the author used to show us this big idea of letting our feelings out? You might want to say it out loud to yourself or say it to the person next to you. Great. So I'm sure many of you are probably thinking, oh, the tiger in the cage, right? Being trapped, representing the feelings being trapped, or the rash that, like Willie Mae said, is the sadness, or the suitcase. That's another symbol that just showed how he was like keeping all his feelings locked in. Well, we're going to try this same work with Number the Stars. As I reread a section of chapter 5, I want you to think about any details, objects, or symbols that can give us an idea, can help lead us into the important message in Number the Stars or just in chapter 5. Okay. Anne-Marie eased the bedroom door open quietly, only a crack, and peeked out. Behind her, Ellen was sitting up, her eyes wide. She could see Mama and Papa in their nightclothes, moving about. Mama held a lighted candle, but as Anne-Marie watched, she went to a lamp and switched it on. It was so long a time since they had dared to use the strictly rationed electricity after dark that the light in the room seemed startling to Anne-Marie. Watching through the slightly open bedroom door, she saw her mother look automatically to the black curtains, making certain that they were tightly drawn. Papa opened the front door to the soldiers. "This is the Johansen apartment?" A deep voice asked the question loudly in the terribly accented Danish. "Our name is on the door, and I see you have a flashlight," Papa answered. "What do you want? Is something wrong?" "I understand you are a friend of your neighbors." "The Rosens, Mrs. Johansen," the soldier said. "Sophie Rosen is my friend, that is true," Mamma said quietly. "Please, could you speak more softly? My children are asleep." "Then you will be so kind as to tell me where the Rosens are." He made no effort to lower his voice. "I assume they are at home, sleeping. It is 4 in the morning after all," Mamma said. Anne-Marie heard the soldier stalk across the living room toward the kitchen. From her hiding place in the narrow sliver of the open doorway, she could see the heavy uniformed man, a holstered pistol at his waist, in the entrance to the kitchen, peering in toward the sink. Another German voice said, "The Rosens' apartment is empty. We are wondering if they might be visiting their good friends, the Johansens." "Well," said Papa, moving slightly so that he was standing in front of Anne-Marie's bedroom door and she could see nothing except the dark blue of his back. "As you see, you are mistaken. There is no one here but my family." "You will not object if we look around." The voice was harsh, and it was not a question. "It seems we have no choice," Papa replied. "Please, don't wake my children," Mama requested again. "There is no need to frighten little ones." The heavy booted feet moved across the floor again and into the other bedroom. A closet door opened and closed with a bang. Anne-Marie eased her bedroom door closed silently. She stumbled through the darkness to the bed. Ellen, she whispered urgently, take your necklace off. Ellen's hands flew to her neck. Desperately, she began trying to unhook the tiny clasp. Outside the bedroom door, the harsh voices and heavy footsteps continued. I can't get it open, Ellen said frantically. I never take it off. I can't even remember how to open it. Anne Marie heard a voice just outside the door. What is here? Shh, her mother replied. My daughter's bedroom. They are sound asleep. Hold still, Anne Marie commanded. This will hurt. She grabbed the little gold chain, yanked with all her strength, and broke it. As the door opened and the light flooded into the bedroom, she crumbled it into her hand and closed her fingers tightly. Terrified, both girls looked up at the three Nazi officers who entered the room. Okay, I'm going to pause right there. I know that was a mouthful, but it's important to reread. So I've read this chapter like 2, 3 times already. Can you think of some symbols or repeated objects that you notice in this chapter? Again, think to yourself or say it to the person next to you. Great. Readers, I'm sure you were thinking, well, the Star of David, right? And this necklace that is mentioned in not only in chapter 5, but it's mentioned in other chapters as well. So, this Star of David, I'm sure some of you were thinking it's a symbol of being Jewish, right? It represents the Jewish people, but also it's a symbol of bravery, maybe, because Anne Marie is a little girl and she's scared, but she's being brave in this moment and helping her friend. Readers, in some of your short responses, I noticed that a few of you mentioned how Kirsty and her cupcake, like how she really wants that cupcake, that object, represents a bigger idea. And the big idea there is that life is changing for them and things aren't the same. And maybe that cupcake also represents the things that they can no longer have. And today we discussed how the Star of David is not only a symbol that represents the Jewish people, but it's also a symbol of bravery. How the big idea is that in a very difficult time, even though she's frightened, Anne Marie finds it in her to be brave. So, this idea of being brave even in difficult times. Today, you're going to read independently for 45 minutes, and as you do, don't forget to try the work of the lesson. Try to see if you notice any small moments, details, objects, or in other words, symbols, and see if those details can lead you towards a big idea. All right, readers, see you next time.